Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C11. C11 Black City. After enjoying a barbecue with his good friend Sha Junghao, Lu Lixing didn't head straight home. Instead, he made his way to Sunlit Path on the city's western edge. The coming Sunday marked an important day for him. Per their agreement, he was granted access to the Black Masked God's training room for a full day of intensive cultivation. To take full advantage of this opportunity, Lu Lixing knew he had to be thoroughly prepared. Previously, Lu Lixing's aptitude for cultivation was notably lacking. Whether he utilized cultivation resources or not made little difference, leading him to seldom rely on them. Back then, he barely gave them a second thought. Times have changed, however. Now, with his exceptional cultivation talent, Lu Lixing had the rare chance to train in a luxurious, advanced cultivation room. He was certain that with the right resources, he could achieve remarkable progress with minimal effort. Lu Lixing's visit to Sunlit Path was specifically for these cultivation resources. To the casual observer, Sunlit Path was just another unremarkable street, devoid of any distinctive features or shops selling cultivation resources. But Lu Lixing, a frequent visitor, was well aware of the massive underground city hidden beneath. In this subterranean marketplace, if you had the means, you could acquire anything your heart desired. This sprawling underground haven was known as Black City, a common yet clandestine feature not exclusive to Skyhaven but present beneath every city in the Stardragon Federation. The origins of Black City, stretching across the Federation, were shrouded in mystery. But one thing was clear to all who frequented it: those foolish enough to stir up trouble in Black City wouldn't live to see the dawn of a new day. Despite its diverse clientele, Black City maintained an unexpectedly high level of order. Over the past 2+ years, Lu Lixing had made monthly trips to Black City to procure cultivation resources for Sha Shofan. He favored this underground market over conventional stores for its more affordable prices. Now, seeking resources for his own use, Lu Lixing's first thought was, naturally, Black City. The gateway to Black City was discreetly located in the backyard of a nondescript grocery store. To gain entry, one had to purchase a pass from the store, a mere $10, a trivial sum. While buying a pass was optional, without it, Black City offered no protection to those who found themselves in trouble within its confines. Consequently, regardless of status, everyone chose to secure a pass as insurance before venturing into the depths of Black City. Lu Lixing strode into the grocery store with the ease of familiarity. He glanced at the dozing shopkeeper behind the counter but remained silent. Placing a $10 Federation coin on the counter, he spread his hand open. The once dark counter flickered to life momentarily before returning to its normal state. Now in Lu Lixing's palm lay a black crescent moon mark, the pass for Black City valid for 24 hours. With this mark, Lu Lixing was under the protection of Black City. However, once he stepped out of its bounds and off Sunlit Path, the mark would vanish without a trace in less than 10 minutes, a truly magical phenomenon. Having secured his pass, Lu Lixing didn't linger. He made his way to the grocery store's backyard. To enter Black City, he needed to take an elevator, but first, he had to don a disguise. From his jacket pocket, Lu Lixing retrieved a thin black mask and placed it over his face, leaving only his forehead and eyes visible. Even Sha Junghao, were he present, might fail to recognize him. Lu Lixing had purchased this mask for $100 within Black City, where such masks were commonplace. Mask in place, Lu Lixing entered the elevator, joining the already sizable crowd inside. Most of the occupants wore masks, and those who didn't bore a menacing look, clearly not the sort to be trifled with. Among them was an individual radiating an intimidating spiritual force, a sure sign of a genuine cultivator. The others in the elevator kept their distance from the suspected cultivator, wary of inviting trouble. They avoided even glancing his way. Lu Lixing observed this dynamic with a tinge of envy. Cultivators held a revered and powerful status in the hearts of the people, a status that commanded respect and caution. The elevator surged downward at a breakneck pace, plunging the passengers over 300 meters in a mere moment. Through the transparent protective shield, the bustling scene of Black City came into view, streets teeming with people and ablaze with lights, a vibrant hub of activity. Lu Lixing, a frequent visitor to Black City, found himself indifferent to its familiar landscapes. Yet, his eyes betrayed a spark of excitement. This visit held a different purpose from his previous ones. He was here for his own reasons, a thought that pleased him greatly. People really should live for themselves, Lu Lixing whispered to himself. As the elevator came to a halt, he stepped out and made his way into the heart of Black City. Knowing the ins and outs like the back of his hand, Lu Lixing was well aware of where to find the highest quality and most affordable cultivation resources. Without hesitation, he headed straight for the shops. Navigating through the bustling crowd for about 10 minutes, he finally paused in front of a store named Caitlin. After a quick survey of the passers-by, he entered the shop. No credit allowed here. The moment Lu Lixing crossed the threshold, a languid voice floated from behind the counter. He saw Caitlin, the still charming proprietress, propping her chin with one hand and greeted her with a chuckle. You greet all your customers with that line. Aren't you worried they'll get upset and never return? Caitlin, hearing a voice she recognized, looked up in surprise. She peered at Lu Lixing as he approached and asked, puzzled, you usually visit once a month. Why are you back so soon? Did you strike it rich? Over the past couple of years, Lu Lixing had consistently purchased his cultivation resources from Caitlin, and they had grown quite familiar with each other. Even though he wore a mask that concealed his features, Caitlin could easily recognize his voice. I haven't struck it rich, and I'm not here to shop, Lu Lixing replied, placing a dark cloth bag on the counter. I need you to exchange these low-grade spirit powders for higher-grade ones. Caitlin cast a glance at the bag on the counter and then eyed Lu Lixing with a playful look. You sure about that? You may have bought them here, but rules are rules. I'll have to charge you a 20% fee. Contact. 2s. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C13. C13 Lord's Mansion. Before we go any further, I need to know who put up this notice, Lu Lixing said, gesturing to the notice on the wall. He was certain that it hadn't been there when he visited 2 days prior. Every shop in Black City was plastered with these notices 2 days ago, Caitlin replied promptly. To my knowledge, they originated from the Lord's mansion. Whoever is behind them is likely a high-ranking official there, possibly even the Lord himself. Lu Lixing inhaled sharply at Caitlin's response. The connection to the Lord's mansion of Black City was unexpected. The Lord was a formidable cultivator at the peak of Foundation building, according to rumors. Anxiety crept into Lu Lixing's thoughts. If the Lord's mansion caught wind of his involvement with the array, the consequences could be dire. He wondered if the risk he took for 200,000 was truly justified. Amidst his indecision, Caitlin's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, then fixed Lu Lixing with an eerie look. I've just been informed of a new decree from the Lord's mansion. They've updated the reward for the notices. Identifying one array now earns 200,000, and for 2 arrays, the prize is 500,000. The new bounty was staggering, more than double the original sum. Lu Lixing steeled himself. Indeed, fortune favored the bold. Tonight, I'll consult my grandfather. I'll return here tomorrow evening, so have some body tempering and advanced brain domain cultivation resources ready for me. I intend to purchase them, Lu Lixing said, his gaze intense. And remember, my grandfather's involvement must remain confidential. If it leaks, I might only get a beating, but you could pay with your life. The stakes were high with the Lord's mansion involved. Lu Lixing had to ensure absolute secrecy, and Caitlin, as an informed party, had to maintain it. Caitlin nodded with grave seriousness and assured, rest assured, your secret is safe with me. Only a fool would risk angering a Rune Master, such a prominent figure. With Caitlin's promise secured, Lu Lixing wasted no more time. He turned on his heel and departed. Whether Caitlin was trustworthy or not, he planned to leave Black City immediately after the deal was done the following night. He had no intention of returning to Black City anytime soon. Caitlin's excitement hadn't waned since learning that Lu Lixing's grandfather was at least a level 3 Rune Master. A level 3 Rune Master was a figure of such esteem that even the speaker of Skyhaven would address him with the honorific Master. The thought of being connected to such an eminent individual thrilled Caitlin, yet it also stirred a sense of apprehension within her. If she disclosed the names of the 2 runes, she would certainly draw the Lord's mansion's scrutiny. And if they inquired about the origins of those names, what then? Should she reveal the truth? Telling the truth would surely put her at odds with both Lu Lixing and the Rune Master. Keeping silent, on the other hand, would mean crossing the Lord's mansion. She was caught between a rock and a hard place, hoping the Lord's mansion would let the matter slide. If not, her future in Black City might be bleak indeed. I'm all in for Black City's permanent residency and the perpetual ownership of my shop. Caitlin resolved, her determination stealing her resolve. Fortune favors the bold, and she had to take this chance to see what she was capable of. When Lu Lixing returned to Caitlin's shop the next evening, he was met with a startling sight. Caitlin, disheveled and sporting dark circles under her eyes. He was taken aback. Had the Lord's mansion gotten wind of their deal and interrogated Caitlin through the night? Ads by PubFuture. PubFuture ads. Unbeknownst to Lu Lixing, Caitlin's appearance was the result of a sleepless night fueled by sheer excitement. She had spent the entire day in her shop, which had led to her current state. Catching the worry on Lu Lixing's face, Caitlin realized he had gotten the wrong idea. She hurriedly clarified, don't worry, I was just too excited last night and didn't get much sleep. That's all. Our secret is still safe. No third party is aware. Upon hearing Caitlin's explanation, Lu Lixing's tension eased. He took a seat at the counter and leaned in to whisper, I spoke with my grandfather yesterday. I've learned the names of the 2 arrays. While speaking, Lu Lixing handed a slip of paper to Caitlin, unconcerned about the possibility of her pocketing his prize money. Caitlin's eyes sparkled as she took the paper from Lu Lixing with a slightly shaking hand. She inhaled deeply and told him, just give me a moment. She promptly stood up, went to the shop's entrance, and locked the door, hanging a closed for business sign. Turning back to Lu Lixing, she instructed, come with me to the back. Without a moment's delay, Lu Lixing followed her into the shop's backyard. He knew that any sign of hesitation or fear might raise Caitlin's suspicions. Regardless of what dangers might lurk in the backyard, he had to maintain a brave front. It was a risk he was willing to take. Caitlin returned from her bedroom carrying an hollow brain and set it on the table. I'm sending the names of these arrays to the Lord's mansion right now, she told Lu Lixing. Once they confirm, you'll instantly receive your prize money of 500,000 yuan. Caitlin glanced at Lu Lixing and continued, I've also prepared advanced cultivation resources worth 1 million yuan for you today. They're in the cabinet outside and I'll hand them over to you shortly. Lu Lixing paused, puzzled. Why would I have 1 million in advanced cultivation resources? He only had a gift of 500,000 yuan, surely that wouldn't cover the cost of resources valued at 1 million. Was there some hidden aspect of the deal he wasn't aware of? You surely don't think hiring a level 3 Rune Master would cost just 500,000. Caitlin chuckled. She elaborated, I suspect that the 500,000 is merely a token of introduction. The Lord's mansion will likely extend an invitation to your grandfather afterwards. Regardless of whether he accepts, they'll have a generous gift for me to pass on to him. Ultimately, that gift will end up in your hands, and I'll receive a substantial reward from this deal as well. Consider the additional 500,000 in advanced cultivation resources a small token of my appreciation. Please, don't turn it down. Contact. 2's. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C14. C14 The resources were in her hands. The Lord's mansion, situated at the heart of Black City, stood as its tallest edifice, a towering structure with 13 floors. The first 10 floors served as the public domain, housing the offices of the mansion's officials. Above that, from the 11th floor onward, lay the private domains of the Lord's mansion. Trespassers who entered without permission met a swift end at the hands of the guards, no exceptions, not even for cultivators. A middle-aged man in a purple tailcoat stood before a grand, pristine window. His stature was tall and commanding, his expression stern, and an intimidating presence radiated from him. This was Shang Ruiming, the city lord of Black City, a formidable cultivator at the pinnacle of the foundation building stage. For 3 full days, Shang Ruiming had been standing there, neither eating nor shifting his position. His thoughts remained a mystery, and none dared interrupt his solitude. The crisp sound of high heels approached, and a striking figure in a black uniform emerged from the shadows. She positioned herself respectfully behind Shang Ruiming and announced, "Sir, there's news." Upon hearing her, Shang Ruiming turned slowly to face her, his voice deep, "Tell me." A message from the owner of Caitlin's store. A rune master passing by identified 2 arrays and left their names. Shang Chonsi handed over a document as she spoke. The names of the arrays were inscribed upon it. Shang Ruiming accepted the document and, after a glance, his excitement surged. Spirit containing array, spirit immersion array. So there are still those in this world who recognize these arrays. Excellent, this is excellent. He burst into hearty laughter, his eyes alight with fervor as he gazed at the document. With these arrays, there's hope for me yet. Shang Chonsi shared in his joy, smiling as she congratulated him. Congratulations, my lord. Meanwhile, in the shop, Lu Lixing was inwardly frantic with worry. Yet, he maintained a calm exterior, feigning indifference as he casually inquired, "How's everything going?" "We've got news," Caitlin exclaimed, her eyes fixed on the response displayed on the hollow brain. She turned to Lu Lixing with palpable excitement. "The funds have been transferred into the account I provided. But it wasn't just the funds. Along with the gold, she had also received the permanent property deed for Caitlin's store and the identity certificate affirming her status as a permanent resident of Black City." "Excellent," Lu Lixing responded promptly upon hearing the news. "Hand over the cultivation resources now. I need to leave immediately." Caitlin had anticipated that Lu Lixing would depart as soon as he got the message. Without hesitation, she accompanied him to the cabinet, from which she retrieved a black leather backpack the size of a school bag and passed it to him. "This is a space bag crafted from black-scaled python hide. Everything you need is in there. Consider this backpack my thank you gift to you. A space bag like this would fetch around 100,000 yuan on the market." It wasn't exactly cheap, but it paled in comparison to the value of the permanent residence and property ownership certificates she had just acquired. Lu Lixing didn't linger. He slung the backpack over his shoulders and strode out, making a beeline for the elevator. He didn't pause for a second, driven by the fear that any delay might lead to an unwanted encounter. His instincts were spot on. Envoys from the Lord's mansion were already en route to Caitlin's store. Had he been just 3 minutes slower, he might have walked straight into them. Caitlin remained at the storefront, her gaze lingering on the fading figure of Lu Lixing as he vanished into the throng. A look of steadfast resolve etched her features. She was acutely aware that the Lord's mansion's agents were likely closing in. By letting Lu Lixing go, she risked incurring their wrath and potential retribution. But the choice was clear. To betray the Lord's mansion was one thing, to cross the powerful Rune Master backing Lu Lixing was quite another. She would rather face the former than the latter. Ads by PubFuture. As Caitlin was about to pivot back into her shop, the distant rumble of engines grew louder. A fleet of sleek black flying shuttles, engines roaring, raced towards her and came to a smooth halt right in front of Caitlin's store. Caitlin's eyes widened in surprise as the black flying shuttle materialized before her. Such a vehicle was reserved for the exclusive use of the Lord's mansion guards. Could the issuer of the announcement truly be the city lord himself? Amidst her astonishment, the hatch of the lead flying shuttle opened slowly, revealing a tall, striking figure. Caitlin recognized her immediately. It was Shang Chonsi, the public face of the city lord's mansion and the city lord's daughter. With a detached gaze, Shang Chonsi inquired, "Where is the master?" Confronted with Shang Chonsi's formidable presence, Caitlin had no choice but to reply, "The master has departed." "Gone." Shang Chonsi's brows knit together slightly. "When did he leave?" "He left some time ago," Caitlin fabricated. "I'm not sure of his exact destination. I didn't dare to question him or hinder his departure." Shang Chonsi, slightly deflated by the response, didn't press further. She posed another question, "Do you know what the Rune Master looks like?" "I don't," Caitlin responded honestly. The individual was wearing a disguise. "I've known Lu Lixing for a long time, but I truly have no idea what he looks like." Shang Chonsi, not interested in pursuing the matter further, gave her instructions. "Remember, if that master visits you again, you must notify the Lord's mansion immediately. We will ensure you are duly rewarded for your cooperation." "Yes, I understand," Caitlin replied, nodding with respect. What she truly thought, however, remained her own secret. Shang Chonsi lingered no longer, boarding the flying shuttle and departing. She harbored no suspicions about Caitlin's honesty. Caitlin, she figured, wouldn't dare deceive the Lord's mansion. Besides, even Shang Chonsi herself would likely hesitate to confront a rune master of such esteem. It was perfectly reasonable for Caitlin to be unaware of certain details. Furthermore, neither Shang Chonsi nor the city lord had any intention of intercepting the rune master immediately. Simply knowing that such a rune master was present in Skyhaven was sufficient. Regarding other matters, there was plenty of time ahead of them, time they could afford to wait. Meanwhile, Lu Lixing had stepped onto the elevator departing from Black City. As the city receded into the distance, the tension in his chest eased. It looked like he was going to make a safe getaway today. The thought of the backpack carrying a full million in advanced cultivation resources set Lu Lixing's heart racing. With such a treasure, he was sure to make rapid progress in the body tempering stage. Contact. 2s. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C15. C15 LEVEL4 Rune Master. Shang Chonsi didn't venture elsewhere but instead took the flying shuttle straight back to the Lord's mansion. She found herself once more standing before the panoramic window, facing Shang Ruiming. Shang Ruiming could tell from Shang Chonsi's swift return that her mission hadn't gone as planned. "You didn't encounter the Rune Master?" she inquired. "No, he had left in haste, and by the time I arrived, it was too late," Shang Chonsi replied, shaking her head. However, I've instructed the shopkeeper accordingly. Should the Rune Master reappear, she'll notify us at once. Shang Ruiming chuckled and shook his head. That's futile. The shopkeeper might not inform us even if the Rune Master does show up. Shang Chongxi's brow furrowed as she responded sternly, how could she dare not to? Which do you think poses a greater risk, crossing the Lord's mansion or Rune Master? Shang Ruiming posed the question calmly, fixing Shang Chongxi with a measured gaze. Unless the shopkeeper is a fool, she certainly won't betray the Rune Master. With Shang Ruiming's words sinking in, Shang Chongxi came to a realization. He was right. One could simply leave Black City to avoid the wrath of the Lord's mansion, but angering a Rune Master could be lethal. Grasping this, Shang Chongxi couldn't help but express her concern. So, are you saying we may never get a chance to meet this Rune Master? Not at all, Shang Ruiming countered, shaking his head. His willingness to act indicates an interest in the spirit-containing array and the spirit immersion array. It's likely that no one else in Skyhaven possesses the methods to inscribe these arrays besides us. If he wishes to learn, he'll have to come to us. All we need to do is wait patiently for him to seek us out. Shang Chongxi's eyes sparkled with understanding, and she exclaimed with a hint of surprise, Father, your foresight truly surpasses mine. Father, I do have one question, though, Shang Ruiming said, his tone reflecting his confusion. Why opt for the indirect approach of posting notices instead of directly inquiring with the Rune Masters we're acquainted with? As the Lord of Black City, Shang Ruiming held a revered status in Skyhaven and was well acquainted with numerous Rune Masters. If he chose to intervene, those Rune Masters would undoubtedly extend him the courtesy due to his position. So why bother with the extra effort? In response to Shang Chongxi's query, Shang Ruiming offered a slight smile and explained, the majority of Rune Masters in Skyhaven are at the second level. Only the speaker's friend has reached the third level. However, the spirit-containing array and the spirit immersion array are both fourth-level constructs, far beyond their ability to inscribe. Seeking their help would only draw unwanted envy and offer no real advantage. Why invite unnecessary complications? And regarding the posting of the notice, consider how many of the people passing through Black City daily are actually Rune Masters, let alone those who would take an interest in such cryptic talismans. Even if someone were curious, could they truly comprehend it? Honestly, not just the second-level Rune Masters, but even the speaker himself might fail to discern the nature of these arrays. The Rune Master who provided the solution at Caitlin's store today may not be a fourth-level Rune Master, but is undoubtedly a Rune Master at the pinnacle of the third level, with extensive knowledge. Why do you think I only asked you to gather information instead of inviting that Rune Master over as a guest? It's not just me. Even the influential figure backing the Black City Alliance wouldn't dare to cross someone on the cusp of becoming a fourth-level Rune Master. Upon hearing Shang Ruiming's rationale, Shang Chongxi involuntarily inhaled sharply. She hadn't anticipated that the enigmatic Rune Master could possibly be at the fourth level, a rarity even within the Federation, where such individuals are esteemed by leaders as Grandmasters. Ads by PubFuture. PubFuture ads. If Lu Lixing were privy to Shang Ruiming's remarks, he'd surely burst into laughter. Forget being a fourth-level Rune Master, he wasn't even at the first level. Shang Ruiming could hardly imagine someone as peculiar as Lu Lixing existed, a man who, despite not being a Rune Master, had stumbled upon a stroke of luck, allowing him to instantly recognize various runes. He was, indeed, an extraordinary anomaly. I came across this spirit-containing array and spirit immersion array in an ancient ruin. It's likely that we're the only ones in possession of the inscription methods for these arrays. I can't imagine that a mysterious Rune Master wouldn't be intrigued by them. Shang Ruiming was convinced that the Rune Master would seek him out sooner rather than later. When that time came, he planned to trade the secrets of the rune inscription methods for 2 complete sets of inscribed arrays. That seemed like a fair exchange, didn't it? It was nearly midnight, 11:50 p.m. To be exact, yet Lu Lixing had not yet retired for the night. He stood in Wen Shi's office, his gaze fixed on the sealed cultivation room with palpable excitement. In just 10 more minutes, it would be Sunday, and he would gain access to the opulent advanced cultivation room. He only needed to spend 2 hours sleeping in the high-tech rest pod, and he could devote the remaining time to his training. As the clock hands aligned at midnight, Lu Lixing wasted no time using the access privileges Wen Shi had granted him. He swung open the cultivation room's door and strode inside. Every minute was valuable, and he intended to use them wisely. Lu Lixing tossed his backpack aside and hurried to the rest pod. But as he prepared to step in, he froze. To his astonishment, someone was already inside the pod. He gaped at the girl lying there, clad in nothing more than a tiny tank top and sports shorts. Confusion reigned in his mind. Who am I? What am I doing here? And who is she? While Lu Lixing was still reeling, the girl in the pod seemed to detect his presence. Her eyes snapped open, and she fixed a piercing gaze on him, her eyes flashing with a startling ferocity. In that instant, Lu Lixing felt a chill run down his spine. He was paralyzed, the sensation of death's gaze upon him instilling a deep fear. My name is Lu Lixing. I'm a student of Mr. Wen. He sent me here to cultivate. He managed to blurt out, mustering all his strength. As his words hung in the air, the intense malice that had targeted him withdrew as swiftly as the receding tide. Freed from the lethal intent, Lu Lixing's body relaxed, and he nearly collapsed onto the floor in relief. Just then, the door to the rest cabin swung open, and the tall girl emerged. Towering over Lu Lixing, she spoke with an icy tone, I'll verify this with my dad. You'd best not be lying to me, or you'll meet a gruesome end. Download the app directly down finger. Contact. 2s. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C16. C16 Wen Shanmei. Father. Lu Lixing's ears perked up when he heard the girl refer to Wen Shi. A realization seemed to dawn on him, and he asked with a hint of surprise, You're Mr. Wen's daughter, Mei. From what Lu Lixing knew, Wen Shi indeed had a daughter named Wen Shanmei, but he had only heard of her and never actually met her. Wen Shanmei slipped on her coat and regarded Lu Lixing with a cool detachment. Don't try to associate with me. If you entered without my father's permission, you're as good as dead. Lu Lixing was momentarily at a loss for words. Wasn't Wen Shanmei being a bit too unreasonable? How could she be so aggressive? Yet, recalling the chilling sensation he'd experienced earlier, he couldn't deny a stark reality. Wen Shanmei truly possessed the power to end his life, perhaps even instantly. She didn't seem much older than him by appearance, but how could she exude such an intimidating presence? Could it be that she had already become a bona fide cultivator? The thought that Wen Shanmei might indeed be a cultivator stirred a mix of excitement and curiosity within Lu Lixing. This was his first encounter with a peer who was a cultivator. He was eager to ask Wen Shanmei what it felt like to walk that path. However, her stern demeanor made it clear she was not in the mood for conversation. Meanwhile, Wen Shi, who resided in the faculty dormitory, had hurried over after being informed of the situation. Dressed in his pajamas, he entered the cultivation room and, seeing Lu Lixing and Wen Shanmei standing on either side of the resting chamber, a smile played at the corners of his mouth. I had intended to introduce you two in the daylight. I didn't expect you to be so eager to start cultivating, he said. Scratching his head sheepishly, Lu Lixing apologized. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause such a misunderstanding. It was indeed a misunderstanding. Had he known Wen Shanmei would be there, he would have steered clear of the resting chamber and simply slept on the ground outside. Wen Shi's voice warmed with satisfaction. The fact that you value every minute and focus so much energy on cultivation is heartening. He bore no blame for Lu Lixing. On the contrary, he admired his dedication. In today's world, young people who seized every moment to dedicate themselves to cultivation were a rare breed indeed. Speaking, Wen Shi turned to Wen Shanmei and said, "This is Lu Lixing, my student. He's here with my permission and is your junior." Wen Shanmei gave Lu Lixing a brief, indifferent glance and remarked, "He's too weak." Lu Lixing couldn't help feeling a bit disheartened. Was he being looked down upon? But in fairness, his strength paled in comparison to Wen Shanmei's. Her mere gaze was enough to freeze him in place, too intimidated to move. Lu Lixing grew up in the slums, without the benefit of systematic training or favorable conditions, so his foundation is somewhat lacking. But he does have potential, Wen Shi explained, somewhat apologetically, hoping to spare Lu Lixing's pride. Upon learning that Lu Lixing came from the slums, something flickered in Wen Shanmei's eyes, and the frostiness on her face softened, shedding its previous chill and detachment. You can use this rest pod. I've rested enough and am off to train. Glancing at the time, Wen Shanmei then addressed Wen Shi, you can head back now. I'm all set here. Wen Shi nodded, then turned to Lu Lixing with words of encouragement, give it your all. If there's anything you're unsure about, just ask your senior. Thank you, Mr. Wen, Lu Lixing said with a grateful smile, then turned to Wen Shanmei, and thank you too, Senior Mei. With that, the minor misunderstanding was cleared up. Lu Lixing watched as Wen Shanmei vacated the training area's rest pod and didn't hesitate to take her place, readying himself for some rest. As soon as he settled into the pod, a subtle yet soothing scent enveloped him, bringing Wen Shanmei to mind. This must be the senior's fragrance, he mused before drifting off to sleep. It was Lu Lixing's inaugural nap in the pod, and he awoke 2 hours later feeling refreshed and invigorated. Stepping out of the pod, he stretched leisurely, gearing up for training. That's when Wen Shanmei reappeared, casually tossing him a set of clothes. This is my dad's training gear. Go take a shower and change into it, Wen Shanmei said with a casual glance at Lu Lixing. I've reviewed your file. You've got decent potential. Find me afterward. With that, Wen Shanmei turned on her heel and strode toward the training area, leaving no room for Lu Lixing to interject. Holding the clean training clothes, Lu Lixing felt a sudden warmth in her heart, a comforting sensation she hadn't experienced in a long time. After a quick shower, Lu Lixing donned the training gear and, barefoot, made her way to the training area. There, she found Wen Shanmei effortlessly performing weighted squats. Lu Lixing was astounded by the sight of Wen Shanmei squatting with a barbell weighing 1,000 kilograms. She struggled with even a stable squat, much less lifting such a weight. Yet Wen Shanmei seemed at ease. Had Lu Lixing not witnessed it herself, she would never have believed such incredible strength resided within Wen Shanmei. After setting the barbell down, Wen Shanmei stretched nonchalantly before turning to face Lu Lixing. Do you want to train with me? Lu Lixing, momentarily taken aback, quickly nodded, yes. The opportunity for one-on-one coaching from someone as formidable as Wen Shanmei was not something he would ever pass up. Wen Shanmei eyed Lu Lixing with a discerning look and posed a question, you still have time to back out. Training with me is no walk in the park. Lu Lixing shook his head, his reply unwavering, as long as it makes me stronger, I'm ready for any challenge. Good, Wen Shanmei acknowledged with a nod. Let's head to the ring. Confused, Lu Lixing watched Wen Shanmei head for the ring. She had mentioned training, so why the ring? Standing in the ring, Lu Lixing's confusion turned to surprise as Wen Shanmei adopted a fighting stance. His eyes widened as he blurted out, wait, our training is actually sparring. Rest assured, I won't tap into my genuine chi, Wen Shanmei assured, gazing intently at Lu Lixing. How can I truly gauge your abilities without sparring with you? It's the only way I can tailor a training plan that suits you. Something about Wen Shanmei's response set off an instinctive alarm in Qin Chuan's mind. Yet, before he could process that feeling, Wen Shanmei wasted no time and launched an attack on him. Download the app directly down finger. Contact Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C17. C17 Fighting. Wen Shanmei hadn't tapped into her genuine chi, yet her strength far surpassed Lu Lixing's. She advanced with a step, her right hand balled into a fist, and hurled it straight at him. Her punch wasn't particularly swift, but the power behind it was formidable. If Lu Lixing wasn't careful in his defense, he was bound to take a beating. Lu Lixing took the threat of Wen Shanmei's seemingly insignificant fist seriously. Instinctively, he sidestepped, pivoting to avoid the blow. But Wen Shanmei was one step ahead. She lifted her leg and swept it behind his heel, sending him tumbling to the ground. Do you think your enemies will only come at you with their fists? What good does dodging a punch do if you're open to other attacks? If I had wanted to kill you, that kick would have been the end of you. Get up and try again. In training mode, Wen Shanmei was all business, scolding Lu Lixing without a hint of mercy. Yet, he took no offense, instead taking her words to heart as he picked himself up. Now, it's your turn to go on the offensive. At Wen Shanmei's prompt, Lu Lixing wasted no time in initiating his attack. Your punch is too slow. Didn't you eat enough? Such an unstable stance. Who gave you the confidence to kick? That punch is so feeble, it wouldn't compare to a woman's. Do you even qualify as a man? Does it hurt? Go on, shout it out. I promise I won't mock you. In the ring, Lu Lixing gasped for air, his face drenched with sweat, his training outfit clinging to him, soaked through. Every inch of his body ached, feeling like it was on the verge of collapse. If he could, he'd lie down right there and sleep for hours. Wen Shanmei, however, remained the picture of tranquility, as if she were merely a spectator. She watched Lu Lixing with a detached gaze, her face etched with a mocking sneer and a hint of disdain. You claimed you could withstand any hardship. Yet here we are, not even an hour in, and you're already faltering. Confronted with Wen Shanmei's biting sarcasm, Lu Lixing was itching to fire back, but he was too winded to muster more than breaths, let alone words. His defiant gaze was the only weapon he had left to signal his refusal to be cowed. Wen Shanmei, noting Lu Lixing's stubborn resistance, chose not to push him further. She leapt gracefully from the arena and made her way to the nearby maintenance pod. She beckoned to Lu Lixing, come over here, strip down, and get in. With each step a struggle, Lu Lixing descended from the arena and shuffled toward the pod. Before he could even begin to undress, Wen Shanmei, growing impatient, swiftly peeled away his clothes, leaving him in just his black shorts. Surveying the bruises that marred Lu Lixing's slender frame, Wen Shanmei gave a nod of approval. She then ushered the enervated Lu Lixing into the pod and activated the nutrition treatment mode. The chamber quickly filled with a deep green nutrient solution, and Lu Lixing's face twisted with pain, a pain that was strangely exhilarating. Immersed in the solution, Lu Lixing felt as though countless hands were kneading his muscles, easing the tension away. It was an exquisite sensation, unlike anything he had ever felt before. Ads by PubFuture. But as always, bliss was fleeting. After a mere 20 minutes, Wen Shanmei extracted Lu Lixing from the pod. His bruises had vanished, his condition seemed to have not only returned to its peak but had subtly advanced. The rush of newfound power left Lu Lixing buzzing with excitement. This beating wasn't for nothing, he thought. Eager eyes fixed on Wen Shanmei, Lu Lixing was now as eager for the challenges he had once been resistant. Forget it, Wen Shanmei said coolly, with your current condition, you can only handle 1 nutrient soak per day. Any more than that would be too much for you. She gave Lu Lixing a nonchalant glance. Get dressed and go train on your own. Though a twinge of disappointment at the loss of the incredible sensation lingered, Lu Lixing was content. He quickly donned his freshly laundered training gear and approached his backpack, rummaging through its contents. The so-called space bag was modest, offering only double the capacity of a regular backpack. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The 1 million in cultivation resources took up only about half the space, without coming close to filling it. Lu Lixing laid out his cultivation resources and meticulously inventoried them. Among the items were 100 packets of advanced spirit powder and 100 tubes of advanced nutrition paste, but what caught his eye was a bottle of light purple liquid glowing softly. Known as violet spirit liquid, it was highly beneficial for brain domain development and was valued at a staggering 6 to 700,000 for just a small bottle. Surveying the resources spread before him, Lu Lixing sighed. 1 million in resources might sound substantial, but it was just enough to get him to the peak of the body tempering stage, and that was with penny pinching. The cost of future cultivation resources was bound to be a significant expense. Putting other considerations aside, the nutrition liquids he had used for soaking alone were worth well over 1 million. He would never have asked for them if Wen Shanmei hadn't offered first. Though she hadn't mentioned it, Lu Lixing was deeply grateful and committed her generosity to memory. He now had a glimpse of understanding as to why Xia Shofan had agreed to become Zhongtu's girlfriend. He could understand her choice, even if he didn't agree with it. Shaking off these thoughts, Lu Lixing focused on the task at hand, cultivating his brain domain. He carefully extracted 3 drops of the violet spirit liquid and applied them to his forehead. As he smoothed the liquid across his skin, a refreshing coolness washed over his brain, emptying his mind and plunging him into a state of serene confusion. The sensation was fleeting. After a mere 3 minutes, the effects of the violet spirit liquid dissipated. Reluctantly, Lu Lixing emerged from the trance-like state. With eyes closed, he tuned into his body, noticing a marked improvement in his sensory perception and a deeper connection to his physical self. Violet spirit liquid truly lives up to its reputation, he mused, eyeing the bottle. With roughly 100 drops remaining, he could sustain that transcendent state for about 100 minutes of cultivation, potentially enhancing his brain domain by 5%. A sigh escaped him as he considered the inevitable depletion of the liquid. Once it was gone, he'd be unable to afford more. The path of cultivation was indeed fraught with hardships for the impoverished. Download the app directly down finger. Contact. Twos. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C18. C18 the chance to become stronger. When she returned to the cultivation room at noon, he brought with him 2 lunch sets. As he entered, his gaze fell upon Lu Lixing, who was seated in meditation on the floor, and Wen Shanmei, standing a short distance away, observing Lu Lixing intently. Approaching Wen Shanmei with the meals, Wen Shi inquired, "What's your take on him?" Accepting the food from Wen Shi, Wen Shanmei replied, "He's incredibly diligent and has a high tolerance for hardship." Although Wen Shanmei hadn't spent much time with Lu Lixing and didn't know him well, she recognized his exceptional qualities. He's a kid who's come up from the slums. He understands the value of strength and the rarity of cultivation opportunities far more than those born into noble families, Wen Shi remarked with a sense of pride, casting an approving glance at the meditating Lu Lixing. He was satisfied with Wen Shanmei's assessment. I noticed he possesses numerous meditation runes and resources for brain domain development, valued at around 1 million. Are you certain he's really from the slums? Wen Shanmei asked, her eyes reflecting a hint of skepticism. It seemed improbable for a slum child to have access to such valuable cultivation resources. When she was taken aback by her observation, he hadn't anticipated Lu Lixing to be in possession of such wealth in resources. Yet, recalling Lu Lixing's rapid brain domain advancement, he found himself at ease. Clearly, these resources must be linked to Lu Lixing's serendipitous experiences. Wen Shi's reasoning wasn't misplaced, especially considering Lu Lixing's potential as a rune master and his exceptional perception. He's had some fortunate experiences. These resources are likely connected to those, Wen Shi explained. With that, Wen Shanmei chose not to probe further. Everyone harbored secrets, and she wasn't inclined to delve into the nature of Lu Lixing's encounters. I'm heading back to school tonight, Wen Shanmei stated, settling into a chair and beginning her meal. Wen Shi, long accustomed to her casual demeanor, offered no comment. Go back and focus on your training, Wen Shi gently tapped Wen Shanmei on the shoulder, adding, you're shouldering a great deal of responsibility now. Perhaps, once he's grown, he can help lighten your load. Wen Shanmei was taken aback by his words. She had assumed Wen Shi's assistance to Lu Lixing was purely out of pity for his unfortunate past, never suspecting that Wen Shi harbored a deeper intent. I'm not entirely certain yet, but I have a strong feeling it's him, Wen Shi said earnestly, locking eyes with Wen Shanmei. I trust my own instincts, and I trust your assessment of him. Suddenly, Wen Shanmei set down her chopsticks and stood up, her expression stern. I need to request a week off from school, she told Wen Shi. Wen Shi was initially surprised, then his brow furrowed as a thought struck him. Are you doubting my judgment and want to observe him yourself? I trust your judgment. It's his capabilities that concern me, Wen Shanmei stated resolutely, her gaze fixed on Lu Lixing. Only the strong can stand as my allies. Seeing Wen Shanmei's determination, Wen Shi refrained from further attempts to dissuade her. Allowing her to spend a week with Lu Lixing would be beneficial for his development. As it happened, this would also give Wen Shanmei and Lu Lixing a chance to build rapport, ensuring they wouldn't hold each other back should they eventually need to fight side by side. We'll do it your way. Wen Shi was curious to see the extent of Lu Lixing's progress over the week. For the old Lu Lixing, rune meditation was a formidable challenge, he couldn't even fully meditate on the most basic clear water rune. But now, things were different. His brain domain had undergone significant expansion, and he was aided by advanced spirit powder. It took him less than 10 minutes to successfully meditate on the low-grade yellow-level clear water rune. Ads by PubFuture. PubFuture ads. With concentrated focus, a pale golden rune began to materialize in Lu Lixing's palm. The rune flowed like water within his hand, exuding a refreshing coolness. At that moment, Lu Lixing could transform the rune into water to quench his thirst whenever he chose. Lu Lixing was experiencing the wonders of runes for the first time, and it only heightened his anticipation of becoming a true cultivator. The clear water rune in the palm of his hand lasted only briefly before fading away. In that moment, Lu Lixing could tell that his body had become noticeably fatigued. Meditating on a rune was proving to be quite the challenge for him at this stage. As Lu Lixing prepared to engage the lightning swallowing rune for his next cultivation session, Wen Shanmei suddenly crouched down in front of him. Surprised by Wen Shanmei's sudden appearance, Lu Lixing greeted her with a smile. Senior Wen, is there something you need? My father stopped by earlier and we discussed your situation. Your brain domain is highly developed, yet your control over it is lacking. Moreover, your physical condition seems to be lagging behind your current capabilities. You've noticed this, haven't you? She inquired. Lu Lixing gave a slight nod, responding candidly, I have. It's as if my body is an outdated hollow brain that's been fitted with the latest chip, it just can't support the chip's full-speed operation. To change this, I'll need to upgrade the hollow brain itself. Wen Shanmei acknowledged his self-awareness, you have a clear grasp of your own condition. I can offer you a method to master the power you currently possess in a short time, but it comes at a cost. Are you willing to accept it? Curiosity piqued by Wen Shanmei's earnest expression, Lu Lixing asked, why are you so kind to me? Lu Lixing wasn't naive. He knew that Wen Shi and Wen Shanmei's relentless support meant there was something about him that warranted their attention, something he was yet to discover. At least you're perceptive enough to realize that you're not a fool, Wen Shanmei said, giving him a meaningful look. However, you're not yet entitled to that knowledge. If, after a week, I'm satisfied with your progress, I'll share some details with you. For now, I need your decision. Lu Lixing met Wen Shanmei's gaze with a serious demeanor and declared, I'm willing. Lu Lixing was acutely aware of his own frailty, a fact he couldn't ignore. Determined to overcome his weakness, he seized every chance to grow stronger with unwavering resolve. Once Lu Lixing confirmed his commitment, Wen Shanmei gave his shoulder a reassuring pat and told him, meet me at the school gate at 6 in the morning tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you. Or download the app directly down finger. Contact. 2s. Divine Talisman Grandmaster. C19. C19 Cloud Dragon Mountain. Early the next morning, Lu Lixing arrived at the school gates by 5:30 a.m., only to find Wen Shanmei had already beaten him there. Wen Shanmei was clad in a sleek black combat suit that hugged her figure, showcasing her curves to perfection. The day was still young, and aside from Lu Lixing, there was no one else to admire the stunning view. But Lu Lixing's attention wasn't on Wen Shanmei's alluring form. Instead, he was captivated by the deep purple flying shuttle parked beside her. The shuttle was a masterpiece from the Skywalking Group, the Federation's premier shuttle manufacturer. Known as the number 9 Skywalking, it stood out from other shuttles with its motorcycle-inspired design and luxurious appearance. Not to mention its speed, a breathtaking 700 kilometers per second, pushing the boundaries of what small shuttles could achieve. This super flying shuttle was a collector's dream, a limited edition model that every man aspired to own. Lu Lixing had dreamt of piloting this very shuttle, soaring between heaven and earth, never imagining he'd get the chance to be this close to it in reality. Unconcerned with Lu Lixing's awe, Wen Shanmei hopped onto the shuttle and instructed the still-standing Lu Lixing, "Take a seat behind me." With a surge of excitement, Lu Lixing leapt aboard and settled into the plush back seat. Before he could even get comfortable, Wen Shanmei ignited the engines, and the shuttle streaked through the sky like lightning. As the shuttle roared to life, a delicate light purple protective membrane enveloped them, shielding Lu Lixing and Wen Shanmei from the brunt of the wind resistance. Without it, Lu Lixing would have been swept away as soon as the shuttle took off. Once the thrill of riding the number 9 skywalking settled, Lu Lixing regained his composure and asked Wen Shanmei curiously, "Where are we headed?" Wen Shanmei didn't reply, her focus locked on piloting the shuttle. Half an hour later, they had left Skyhaven behind, venturing into the wilderness beyond. Wen Shanmei showed no signs of slowing down until they reached Cloud Dragon Mountain, 2,000 kilometers west of Skyhaven, where she finally brought the shuttle to a stop. Cloud Dragon Mountain was neither a tourist hotspot nor a barren wasteland, it was a haven for wild creatures. Ordinary folks wouldn't dare tread here, and even cultivators at the chi refining stage had to tread lightly amidst its dangers. Lu Lixing had only ever heard tales of Cloud Dragon Mountain, never having set foot on its treacherous slopes himself. Now, standing within its confines, he could sense the palpable peril surrounding him. True mastery of your strength emerges only through the crucible of life and death combat, Wen Shanmei stated, her gaze cool and detached as she stood by Lu Lixing's side. You're going to spend the next 7 days here. It could be that you'll pass them without incident, or you might face grave dangers. Remember, you have just one opportunity to call on me for help. If you do,